I've got a lot of calls in here. People who are experts on IT, on this whole area of hard drives and protecting material, and they are not buying this line that the hard drive Lois Lerner's or somebody's crashed, and we've lost 2 years of Lois Lerner's emails. They ain't buying it. And I'm not either. I want you to hear from some of these people, okay? Let's start with Pat in Philadelphia, the great WNTP. Are you buying this, Pat?
Not for a minute, Mark. How are you, my brother? Fighting the good fight?
All right. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Okay. When you send an email to a government server, everything is mirrored. So even if the hard drive crashes, the mirror takes over. A geek comes along and just pulls out the old bad hard drive, puts in a new one, and nobody loses anything. Depending on what the federal government does, every 4 hours, every 8 hours, or 12 hours, whatever, they'll have a data dump to a master server where it's compartmentalized and archived. So you would need someone with administrative access in multiple departments to go track all this down, knows where it's at, and then delete it. Now, you might get a hiccup for 1 day and maybe a partial email, but for 2 years, that's fraud.
So there's no main database system that if it crashes, you're going to lose 2 years' worth of... And by the way, the 2 years' worth of the 2 years' worth the investigators want to see.
Right. That's not probable, unless we got attacked by an EMP, and I was unaware of that.
And an EMP, for people who don't know, could come from a nuclear attack. It could come from a sunburst, which would wipe out our electrical system. But we'd all feel that, not just one computer.
Everyone would have got that, right. So, it's not happening, Mark. It's a total fiction. And if they were using third-party servers like Comcast or Verizon or whatever, they'll have it too. They were using Gmail, Google Mail, to do government work on there, and I'm pretty sure they have some of that too. So that's it, my brother.
Pat, very, very fine. I appreciate that. Let's hear some more experts. Let us go to Derek, Kansas City, Missouri, the great KCMO. Go.
Mark, it's an honor to talk to you. First-time caller, long-time listener.
Thank you.
I work in one of the largest law firms here in the city. I don't want to say which one because...
All right.
My responsibility is to initiate collection of email for discovery, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do day in, day out. And to think that the federal government could lose 2 years' worth of email is almost an impossibility. The redundancies that are in place nowadays with any corporation, even mom-and-pop businesses, don't allow for this kind of thing to happen. I mean, if a server goes down, you have 2 or 3 others that are right there to pick up any slack. And the way the federal government spends money, are we supposed to believe this is a Montgomery Ward server in a closet somewhere? I mean, it doesn't add up. I'm sure they have the best, probably the best in the world, I would imagine, as far as retention and redundancy goes.
And they don't even need the best in the world, do they?
No, absolutely not. Mom and pop do it all the time. You just don't hear about companies losing email like this anymore. It used to be that way, but it's not that way anymore. Technology is just superior. So the fact that it's so obvious, they're doing it right in front of everyone's face. I mean, you can tell that this is a cover-up and it's deliberate. You can't lose email like that without intention, It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm shocked. And if more people aren't outraged, then they damn well
Well, Derek, I was listening attentively to what I hear in my ears is the ABC Radio Network News at the top of the hour. This didn't even get a mention. It wasn't even mentioned by the National Radio News. Not even mentioned. This is what I mean. I call these people the Praetorian Guard media, and that's exactly what they are. This is a massive scandal. Now we have an additional cover-up aspect to it, and they act like it's no big damn deal. If we're Richard Nixon, we've been hearing about it for the next 25 days.
It's disgusting, quite frankly, Mark, and sometimes, you just wonder where is everyone's head at? What are we thinking, I don't know. I guess maybe some people would want to be in the dark and want to be led, but it's flagrant. There's no way this can happen.
All right, Derek, thank you. Let's go to Tamara, Dallas, Texas, the great WBAP. Go right ahead.
Hey, good Texas evening to you, Mark.
God bless you, my friend. And a happy Virginia evening back to you.
Hey, thank you. I just came from Virginia yesterday, so I will accept that. Hey, my husband is one of the co-founders of the world's first computer forensic software. And I spent many years doing public relations for them and learning about that software. And here is the caveat. Here's the hat tip to Daryl Issa. Thanks to Sarbanes-Oxley, this absolutely cannot happen, first of all. And if it does, here we go. Check another box for the Obama administration, breaking the laws of Sarbanes-Oxley. And
I don't know that Sarbanes-Oxley applies to the government. Remember, they always exempt themselves.
Well, there you go. But the fact of the matter is the government, the United States government, has this NK software in their systems to ensure this doesn't happen. And they can use it. They can detect every single keystroke that has ever been made on your computer, and it's all recoverable. And the gentleman, the last caller, is exactly right. That somebody high up with core access would have to physically and manually scrub the data, and then, unless the drive was severely damaged, even then, the data is recoverable.
All right, Tamara, thank you for your call. Let's go to Eric. He doesn't wish to identify where he works, but it's a very, very significant position in Maryland, the great WMAL. How are you, sir?
How you doing, Mark? What they're selling is a bunch of BS. And here is why. I ran an email system for one of the government agencies. I was one of the administrators. We had over 60 servers for email. And those servers, just like the other caller said, the drives are mirrored. So if we lose a physical drive, it's hot swappable. We could switch over to the other drive and the user would never know. Now, here's the part that doesn't wash. Every day you have a backup. And that is called an incremental backup. So when a file changes, it hits that incremental backup tape. Every week, you pull a gold backup. That gold backup goes off-site to a place like Iron Mountain, where basically it's EMP-proof and disaster-proof. So if we lose the building due to an attack like what happened in Oklahoma, you can go back to those tapes, and you might be maybe a week old. So basically, and they're kept in increments, so then you have one for a month, then one for a quarter. So if you lose a whole series of data, you'll still be able to go back at least within a month or a quarter.
So you're never going to lose 2 years' worth, are you?
No, that's impossible. It is impossible. If that's the case, why didn't we hear about that when that happened to the Murrow building in Oklahoma City, when they blew the building up? We didn't, because it's basically built into the system, and this goes back to the Cold War when we were afraid of nuclear attack. That's the reason why the systems were put in place. So then there's no way the IRS should get away with this if these committee chairmen are halfway informed about anything. If they're halfway informed about it, or basically get someone to advise them to how the system and the everything to keep this from happening. So right now they're selling them a bunch of stuff, and hopefully people are listening to this. They do not buy it, because it cannot happen unless someone physically goes in and literally, this is the equivalent of the missing minute in the Watergate tapes.
I was saying that too. Exactly right. And isn't it amazing how little attention it's drawing tonight other than by me?
And I write for Breitbart. I'm going to write something about this.
Good.
Just because of that, because I'm just hearing about this now because I just came out of another TV studio on something else, and I'm floored over this, and this is basically getting traction. This can't get traction. This is the...
Well, what's your full name? If you write for Breitbart, are we allowed to know?
Eric Carey, C-A-R-Y.
Very good. All right, Eric, go get him.